three main components of cell theory. Cells are the basic units of life. All living organisms are made up of cells, and all cells come from pre-existing cells. From this third principle, the endosymbiotic theory arises. The endosymbiotic theory states that some organelles within the eukaryotic cells were once prokaryotic microbes. Both the mitochondria and the chloroplast are organelles that were once free living cells that ended up inside of other cells. Bacterial cells or prokaryotic cells are simple cells that do not have a nucleus or any membrane-bound organelles. The mitochondria, chloroplast, and bacterial cells share similar characteristics that support the endosymbiotic theory. Bacteria cells have their own DNA. Mitochondria and chloroplasts also have their own DNA, apart from the DNA of their eukaryotic cell. Mitochondria and chloroplasts have similar sizes to prokaryotic cells. They also reproduce and divide through binary fusion. Both chloroplasts and mitochondria and bacterial cells have a double membrane structure surrounding the cell, further supporting the endosymbiotic theory. Chloroplasts, mitochondria, and bacterial cells have their own ribosomes and are able to make their own proteins. The ribosomes are more similar in structure to those in bacterial cells than those found in the cytoplasm of the eukaryotic cells.
Aerobic cells such as the mitochondria and anaerobic cells such as the host eukaryotic cell had a mutually beneficial relationship as they both benefited from nutrient and waste exchange as well as increased environment optimization. The benefit for the aerobic cell lies in that once it was consumed by the host cell, it was able to use the anaerobic cell's waste product along with oxygen to generate much more ATP for both organisms. On the other hand, since the host cell lacked the necessary metabolic pathways to process oxygen and ultimately made it harmful, the anaerobic cell benefits from the relationship as it now has an aerobic cell to process oxygen. The presence of two lipid bilayers is believed to have originated from the endosymbiotic theory, stating that both mitochondria and chloroplasts were their own independent prokaryotic cells. The outer membrane comes from the plasma membrane of the host eukaryotic cell. It is also permeable, which allows for the exchange of nutrients and materials between the host cell and the mitochondria and or chloroplast. The inner membrane is from the mitochondria and chloroplast's previous stage as a prokaryote, and is less permeable than the outer membrane. It has specific transport proteins that help carry out specific functions for the mitochondria and chloroplast. The double membrane allows for enhanced function in metabolism as the outer membrane interacts and assists with the cell's needs, while the inner membrane focuses on the mitochondria's and chloroplast's needs, as it contains the necessary enzymes and proteins needed for the mitochondria and chloroplast's metabolic processes, such as oxidative phosphorylation and photosynthesis respectively.
The difference between endosymbiotic cell theory 1 and 2 is that each theory focuses on a different organelle within the eukaryotic cell. Theory 1 focuses on how the mitochondria came to be, while Theory 2 focuses on how the chloroplast came to be. Furthermore, Theory 1 states that the eukaryotic cell that engulfed the prokaryotic cell that is now the mitochondria was an aerobic cell. This differs from Theory 2, as the engulfed cell that is now known as a chloroplast was a photosynthetic cyanobacterium. This means that while the mitochondria uses oxygen to produce energy, the chloroplast uses sunlight to produce glucose. This occurred twice as each engulfed prokaryotic cell. The mitochondria and the chloroplast brought different benefits to the host eukaryotic cell. The mitochondria allowed the host cell to produce energy more efficiently, while the chloroplast allowed the host cell to absorb energy from light through photosynthesis. The societal implications that result from this theory is that it changes how the process of evolution is perceived. The idea that two organisms became so codependent with each other that they evolved to become a part of each other shows how evolution isn't just a simple linear progression that happens through mutations and natural selection based on the environment, but rather through mutually beneficial relationships between organisms, in this case, prokaryotes and eukaryotes.